Good evening, welcome back to take two of the Play On Scottish Football Show. We had some more technical difficulties here, Derek.
My fault, apologies.
No worries, mate, no worries at all. So I just want to pick up where we left off, really, where we're talking about the Scottish Cup, the defeat to Celtic. You got beat 3-1. Did you have a few beers after it? That's what I was talking about.
We did. We ended up with a pile went out after it. It's one of those ones where usually if you get beat, you're raging and don't really want to go anywhere. At the very most, you'd go out for dinner with your missus and that's it. But I think we worked our absolute backside off to get to a cup final, and I mean, we definitely had a team worthy of getting to a cup final. But to get there and do what we'd done for a good chunk of the game, and then we just kind of went, you know what, if ever there was a time to just go out and go off in one, and we did. We went out. We actually ended up meeting a pile of the Celtic boys as well. So they were enjoying. We were just thanks, guys.
Did you manage to get any shirts? Did you swap shirts with any of the players afterwards?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I did. No, I think I've done. No, I kept it because it was the first time I'd been in a cup final. So it's up the stairs in the loft somewhere with the rest of the shirts. But just what a day! It was just it's like I said. Sometimes it's just you just stand there at times and just take it in and go, right, this is brilliant. So yeah, unbelievable day. And I think it was a couple of years later, if I'm right, we managed to get into the final of the League Cup, and that was kind of the same. I had been out injured for a good while, and then I'd kind of coming back, and the manager says to me about going on the bench, and I was like, yeah, I could manage it. So I ended up coming on for 10 minutes at that game as well. I think we could beat 2 or 3-0. But once again, just I'm at Hampden here playing in a cup final. Just unfortunately, it used to seem to be Celtic that haunted me every time I went to Hampden. I think I've seen them about 6 or 7 times at Hampden in my career. Nothing good came of it.
You mentioned earlier on in the interview as well, obviously your brother Darren, like many times throughout your career you've played alongside him. What was it like playing with a sibling, your brother obviously? Was there brotherly love? Was there family feuds? How was it?
No, we never ever. We fought when we were younger, things like that. That's a gimme when you're 2 boys. But like I said, when we were in the teams together and the rest of it, it was just like one of the boys. It wasn't as if it was my brother. If there was a tackle to be made in training or up against each other in training, it was, like I said, there was nothing held back. It was just, I don't know if I was just used to it, because even when, like I said, when we grew up, we were younger, we were in the same team for a good while, and then we kind of split up under 12s, 13s kind of thing, and later on Dan had went to Aberdeen a year in front of me. But even when Dan had moved up and he was full time and he was playing with the youth team and the reserves, because I was doing quite well with my teams and all the rest of it, I was still getting sometimes a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, they would get a shout to go and help with the youth team. So I would see him again, you know what I mean? It wasn't as if he disappeared anywhere, but I was back playing in his team every couple of weeks. And like I said, after then, you're back up. I'm up the road the next year, and we're in this. Dan ended up when he was 17. He was in the first team, and stayed there. Stayed there for the rest of his days until he left. But it's. I think just because I used to seeing each other, you would know. I would see the way Dan was his body was shaped to go and do something, and I knew whether he was firing it into me or I was having to go along just by reading his body, if you know what I mean. Because like I said, I was more of a striker to start with. Dan was a centre mid, so I wouldn't say we got a major success out of it, than knowing that he was going to do, but I was a wee step ahead a few times.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the cup finals against Celtic, like you say, that seemed to haunt you. Lightning always struck against Celtic. I mean, in some of these Celtic sides that you touched on, the likes of Larsson, Nakamura, Boba Baldy, Lennon, Roy Keane, Maloney, etc. Who's been the hardest player you've come up against in your time?
And the Celtic teams?
Just in general, mate. Just in general.
there was a game I get like they teams you've just mentioned there, the Celtic. I mean, they're just unbelievable names. We used to have a laugh about Nakamura. We used to say it was as if he didn't breathe. It would just kind of float into positions. You wouldn't hear him. You wouldn't hear him running. He just kind of appeared between you and somebody else with the ball at his feet, and he just used that left foot. It has to do whatever the hell he wanted with the ball. But it was just, like I said, there was no sweat coming off him. But he's over there. He's over here. He's behind you. You just could never get to grips with him. And then you'd mentioned Petrov. He was just a machine. Lovely, lovely guy. Just a machine getting up and down this park. And he had a bit of a slow start to his career at Celtic, but he kicked on. And he was, like I said, he was a young boy as well. I don't think he'd have been that much younger than me, maybe. But just, what a player. And then you go Larsson, a whole different ball game. Just, I always tell this story. We were playing Celtic, and I was, for being 5'9", I was quite good in the air. So I used to come back for a lot of corners. And it was my job to look after Larsson one day. So I think we're getting beat about 4 or 5-0. And boy Jamie McAllister that used to play Aberdeen, he was playing left back in that day, and there was about 2 minutes to go, and Celtic have had 1,000 corners. Larsson's not been near a corner yet. I'm wrestling him to the floor and all the rest of it. And Larsson in the air is just as good as somebody at 6'4". So I've kind of done my job most of the day, and Jamie's like, Derek, look, just you go up the park. I'll pick him up. Just you go. Corner comes in. Larsson scores a header at the back post. I get the pelters in the changing room because I was meant to pick them up. Jamie said they had him well. He never can had him, did he? I was like, okay. So you can imagine, I was like, oh no. But you can later on, you can see him in the corner. He's like, I mean, going just oh no. So but these guys just unbelievable. But when I was, I think I must have been 19. It was Arthur Newman. I was playing at the right hand side against Arthur Newman at Ibrox, and it was like Newman. I was playing kind of. I think I was right at front three or something. So right up against Newman. I couldn't get near the ball. I couldn't even get in space to get near the ball. There was no point in me trying to run him because he was a machine. So I would try and run and like pull back to try and get the ball to feet. And even as soon as I took my touch, he was just there. It was like the rash. And there's nothing either. There's nothing of Arthur Newman either. He's just a wee skinny but solid guy. And I couldn't even get a breath. Just unbelievable. I mean, a Dutch internationalist.
Yeah.
And he's probably laughing playing against this wee guy for Cambuslang. But he was unbelievable that night. And it was like they had him behind me I think it was Van Bronckhorst was playing on the left hand side for them. So he was behind me. So I'm trying to keep an eye on him taking off that way. But he would take a touch and come inside the park, and Arthur Newman would go in the back of him. And inside of him is Albert's. So the ball was going into Albert's. He's taking a touch and pinging it on the back of the right back's head. Arthur Newman's already on a motorbike. He's away. So it was an eye opener. Just these, like I said, we talk about levels. You go on about these two teams, and you try to judge the teams just now. And Rangers have obviously been unbelievable this year and done well, but I still look back at the standard of player back then, and then you think back of the standard of player that Celtic had as well, and it was just
frightening.
Just like I said, you're going there thinking just stay in the game for as long as you can. Don't get an absolute doing. And unfortunately, through my career, I took a right few doings.
We've talked about players that you've obviously played alongside and played against. What about managers? You mentioned the two Jimmies. What kind of characters were they?
Jimmy Caldwood, my favourite manager ever, just because he told it how it was. That's what I liked about him. And I think with me, he probably understood me more than many other managers. Just with, I think he kind of looked at me and went, Derek's very good at football, as in he's got this, he's got that, blah blah blah. So that's how I ended up playing everywhere. It wasn't. I went to teams, and some guys I know think I played right back my career because I turned up at their team a bit later on and I was playing right back for half a season or whatever. And other guys think I'm a centre mid because I've sat and played centre mid for them for a year. But this all came about when I was, like I said, younger, and I was started up front, and then all of a sudden wide right, wide left, and playing in a hole and sitting in the middle of the park and things like that. So if you can imagine, you went your full career up until the first team, and then you make your debut in your first team, and you play up front. So you've been up front the full time. And then the time I actually changed position, we went away an under-17s tournament with Scotland, and it was the young boys that we had at the time that were kind of in and out the first team. There was a lot of them in the Scotland youth set up, so there was about 4 or 5 us all at this tournament together. And it was the three Aberdeen boys in the middle of the park, and one of them was me. I'm kind of going, I've never played in the middle of the park in my life. So I went there and we won the tournament, and we'd done great and done really well. So I think obviously this fed back to the club, and all of a sudden I'm playing right in midfield, I'm playing left, like I said, playing in the centre. Next couple of weeks later, I'm back up front. And to be honest, I probably spent most of my career kind of doing that and filling gaps. And
what position did you enjoy most?
Well, the thing with it is, like I said, when you're younger, all I've done is attacked. Obviously I knew how to run back, but it's always been like go, and getting goals and getting in positions to get balls wide and set people up and all the rest of it. Then as you come back the way you're now thinking a bit more. But like I said, kind of from age of 17, I've kind of been more or less in a first team environment. Don't get me wrong, I've come back and played reserves and all the rest of it, but like I said, you're kind of then getting, right, you're playing in here and you're kind of going, well, I've spent however 12, 13 years of my life so now I'm at the top of the first team, and I'm now trying to learn a new position, and it's not easy. It's not a turn up job, and it just happens. You know what I mean? You're at it, and like I said, sometimes because you went in and felt a gap in there, and you've played on the right hand side, and you've done well. All right, well, just leave him there. So you'll maybe go 2, 3, 4 games playing in the right midfield and doing great and feeling settled, and can't wait for the next game to come. And then the next game comes and you get the pull for the manager. Like there's maybe a couple of boys struggling with injury, and he's like, look, go and do me a favour, just go on the left and put a shift in for us over on the left. I'm not expecting you up down the left hand side, but just keep the ball and just work your backside off and come in off the touchline and all that. And I'm here. You're right, okay, no problem. That's you. So that was most of my career, to be honest. And there's 2 ways to look at it. As if I never done that, would I've played as many games as I did? Do you know what I mean? If I just, I know boys that point blank went like, oh no, I can't go and play there. I couldn't do that. I'm like, right, yep, it's a game of football. Pencil me in, bring me over. Let's be having it.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of fast forward to a Mark McGee situation where when he first came in, and he wasn't really having me for whatever reason. Just we never had any fights, nothing. I wasn't in his plans from day one, and he never said it 1-to-1, but you could tell with training the way it was set up in the pre-season games and all the rest of it. And I'd already kind of went in and seen him just the week before the season started, and says, look, I've not had much game time here at pre-season. We had a pre-season, the one last game against Peterhead. And he says, oh, don't worry, there's a Peterhead game coming up, you'll get game time there. He says, oh, but he was telling me I was in his plans. He was lying to my face. But we were being nice with each other. And the Peterhead game came, and I was on the bench, and we were getting beat 2 or 3-1 at half time or something, and he brought me on. I thought, all right, okay. But I played the 45 minutes, so fast forward to we're playing a European game. I can't even remember the name. Ollie Inche or something, can't remember.
Right.
But the Tuesday comes, the game's on the Thursday, the Tuesday comes, there's a couple of boys struggling, 1 or 2 boys unwell as well. I get the shout after training, see the manager, I thought, oh, here we go. Let's see what I've done now. Goes in, hey, how you doing? Good. I thought you were great at training today, blah, 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 blah. Rubbish talk. And I'm going, And he says, might need you to play right back for me. You played right back before? Sorry. I was like, what do you mean? He says, oh, so-and-so's injured and he's not well and we could be struggling. Do you think you could play right back? And I says, well, I've never played right back in my life. I says, but I'll go and play right back. It's no problem. If you're needing me to cover, I'll go and cover. But I says, I've been out your plans. I says, he says, no, you've not been out my plans. But you've been working really hard, and I think you deserve it. You want to stick you in it right back. And I was like, right, that's no hassles, but that's fine. So, long story cut short, plays the game, plays it right back. We get beat 5-1. We get beat 5-1 off a team who we get told was probably a middle of the table championship team in Scotland. This team passed us to death. Passed us off the park, scored some unbelievable goals, just ripped us. One, because we weren't fit. 2, training was garbage. And like I said, 3, whoever was feeding back information on this team needs shot because they were a decent enough side. So we comes in after the game. I've not been brilliant by any means. I've not been horrendous, but I certainly wasn't Cafu, that's for sure. But he's obviously not happy with one, but he's going round the team, you, and he's getting to me and he went, you need to find yourself a position. I was like, what? I just looked at him. I says, I'm pretty sure you just begged me to play right back for you. I've done you a favour here. I've jumped in. Everybody else has told you to beat it. And I've went, yeah, no problem. I'll do your turn here. I'll go and play right back. I never caused any goals. I never laid anybody in. No, that wasn't, like I said, I wasn't brutal that you would have thought,
yeah,
well, get him out of this bit. That was it. So from doing him a favour and him telling me I have to go and find a position, I need to go and find a position. I was like,
nah.
So yeah, that was it. That was a thanks I got. Aye, cheers for trying to help me out.
So that was obviously your second spell at Aberdeen. I mean, we've talked about how you had your first spell at Aberdeen, you went to the Pars, you had a short spell at St Johnstone and Partick Thistle before then returning back up to Aberdeen. Were you a bit anxious about making that return back up to Pittodrie for the second spell?
Jimmy Calderwood had phoned me. I had finished at Partick. I was about 16 years old at a contract, so everybody had left and we never had a manager at the time. So it was like everybody's gone. So I was out of contract anyway. And there was 2 or 3 other teams asking about me, and I was kind of holding off. A couple of teams in the Premier League had kind of been sniffing about, but nobody had actually went right here. So I was kind of holding off and going to make sure I was fit. And then out of nowhere, Jimmy sees phone number on my phone, and I've answered it, and it's like, Des, how you doing? How's the family? I'm like, ah, brilliant, great. But I'm thinking, because I got on great with him, honestly, absolutely brilliant. Could phone him for anything, speak to him for whatever. And I thought he was phoning on behalf of somebody else to say, look, so-and-so wants you, how's things? Just, he wants to know how you're doing. I thought he was coming to asking to phone about somebody else, somebody's a mate at another team. And he's like, how's things? What's the script with the football? What are you doing? And I was like, well, this team, that team. There was like 3 or 4 teams, I said, in the championship want me to sign, and I thought there's a couple of teams sniffing above, but I don't know how it is. I could be hanging on for ages for these other teams. And I was like, all right. He says, I've got a question for you. I was like, all right. Would you come back up the road? And I'm like, today, man. And he's like, I've got 1 more contract left. And he says, I need somebody, and this sums him up with me. He says, I need somebody that's going to help and play all over the place. So I'm laughing away. I says, are you at the wind-up? He says, no. He says, would you be interested? I was like, definitely, of course I would. Jeez, I says, if you're being serious, I says, Jimmy, I'll start walking now. I'll be up there tomorrow morning if you want. And he's like laughing down the phone. He's like, no, he says, look, I'm being serious. He says, I've been sitting with Jimmy and Sandy, and we've got a great solid team, good backup players and all the rest of it. And he says, look, you'll knock him up as a starter, that's for sure. He says, and I went, look, if you get me up the road, I'll get myself fit. I says, I'll be starting for you, don't worry. And he's like, that's it. He's going, I love your attitude. That's why I love you. He says, I knew it. He says, the only problem, and this is where your question comes into it. He says, no, everybody wants you back here. I was like, oh, no. I was like, what do you mean? He says, there's still a couple of miserable so-and-sos on the board that when you left, weren't they happy when you left? No, when me and Dan left Aberdeen, there was a big hoo-ha. Me and Dan, and I said this in another thing that I'd done not that long ago, me and Dan never ever said a bad word about Aberdeen. There was people writing stuff about us that wasn't true, that we had said this and this. Nothing that had actually came from myself and Dan. So, as you can imagine, folk pile on top of that and all the rest of it. And me and Dan still sat there and never said a word. So the one waving it is when I was coming back, that's for sure. So he says to me, he says, look, I need to make sure everything's all right with them. I've already told him I was going to phone you and all the rest of it. He says, I'm just phoning you to make sure. And he says to me, do you want to go and speak to Alison? And he knows my missus. He loves Alison and Alison loves him. He says, she maybe be happy with staying back down in Glasgow and all the rest of it. I says, look, you don't need to speak to Alison. I says, a chance of coming back up the road, Jimmy. I'm coming. I says, go and you sort at that end. I'll sort at my end. And that's what we've done. And he says, you're not just coming up for a 1 year deal, no chance. He says, I'm giving you 2 years so we get settled and get you going again and get you back in this team. And honestly, I went up and straight from day one. It was as if I'd never been away. I would always go back anyway. Honestly, I probably knew 3/4 of the team. And there were still boys there from my youth team days. Chris Clark, Michael Hart, Russell Anderson, guys like that. Floating about. And Barry Nicholson and there was a few others that came up from Dunfermline as well. So we knew these guys and played with these guys. So I knew most of the team. So when I walked in from day one, it was just right, here we go, back to normal. and off we went. And we had, the first year was just an unbelievable year.
Yeah, because I mean, your second spell at Aberdeen, you got quite a good European run, I believe, in the UEFA Cup against, like, say, Atletico Madrid. You were playing against the likes of Aguero and Diego Forlan.
Yeah.
I mean, you're really testing yourself now against some of the top guys in world football now.
It's similar to, like I said, when I'm standing at Hampden and just kind of looking about, going, this is unbelievable. This is great. My favourite ever game, and like I said, I've been lucky enough that I managed to play in the Scottish Cup and the League Cup final, and I've been promoted with teams and whatever else. But I was standing, and I've mentioned this a while ago as well. Just standing there, there was a breaking play against Atletico Madrid. I think it was halfway through the second half, and the whole stadium was just going absolute bananas all the way in, just wild. There was Aberdeen fans just scattered everywhere, but their fans are quite notorious, and just whole place is bouncing. And I'm just standing there going, this is just, and now the goosebumps and everything. And like you've mentioned there, you've rhymed off names there. I think Aguero played in the first half, and then he went off at half time, and some other bloody well-known player came on, you know what I mean? Just a wee high five, and the way back off he came. So he'd done his bit in the first half. And like you said, Diego Forlan was up front as well. He ended up, I think the year later, he got the golden boot at the World Cup. So he wasn't doing too bad for himself. But yeah, just what a team they were. But we actually done quite well. They ended up scoring from a penalty and a direct free kick. They never, I'm saying, I was about to say there that they never carved us open, but I can remember after, must have been about 3 minutes, and I swear if anybody you watch get a chance to watch, they opened us up about 17 times in the first 3 minutes. They missed 2 or 3 absolute worldies. Just that one, I was playing on the right hand side, and it was the hands over the eyes, like, oh my god, this is going to be ridiculous numbers. But we held in, got to just a couple of minutes before half time, and they gave away a penalty. And I think it was Simal just chucking a name about again there. He stuck it away, and somebody else stuck the ball into the top corner for their free kick to make it 2-0. But just that, that's my favourite game for everything it meant. Just we're in the Europa League. We're playing in front of this. We're playing in front of Atletico Madrid. Just everything about it, just ticking boxes, just laughing. You're coming home in a plane, just can't believe that just happened. And the thing about it as well, a lot of boys missing, like first team boys, kind of first team starters. There was a lot of boys not being sick and whatever. And I'd actually come in at half time, and for the last 5 minutes of the first half, I had sick up to about here. And you're trying to chase back and all the rest of it. This is the truth. And I'm in at half time, and I don't even think I heard one bar to I just went into the toilet and I was throwing up. And I'd come out the toilet, and they could obviously hear. And Jimmy just looked at me and went, "Right, is that you all right now? Right, good. You've still got another 45 to go." I'm chalk white. Nothing in me. Just the physios are flinging the energy stuff into me like that. Oh. But I was high as a kite. I was always going to make the full 90 minutes, no matter what. But what an experience.
Exactly. I mean, what were those European nights like? I mean, obviously you've talked about being on the plane, travelling abroad and stuff like that. But what about at Pittodrie under the lights, maybe midweek, the big occasion? I mean, is that what professional football players play for? It's been said before, but Pittodrie gets a bad name at times. But when it comes to European nights, and it's just on another level, it just seems to pick up even more. And it's one of those you're looking forward to it for ages, absolutely ages. And when it happens, it's unbelievable. And if you get a decent result as well, the place is just bouncing for days and days. So yeah, I recommend it. I recommend a European night at Pittodrie. I mean, in 2011, you left Aberdeen again for a spell, this time over in Iceland. What was the standard like over there?
Different. What happened there? It was actually ex-Aberdeen player Robbie Winters was across there. Robbie's a good friend of mine to this very day. And he'd somebody else that he knew. There was 4 or 5 Scottish boys over there playing with this one team. And Robbie had been phoning me because I was out of contract and looking for something, and it was coming to start a pre-season kind of thing, and I was doing the usual, just out looking after yourself, running a bit, but it's not the same as doing something with somebody else, or doing pre-season with a team. Running about yourself, you think you're doing well, but you're basically running against yourself, and it's hard to judge whether you think you're putting a shift in or not. But so Robbie had phoned me and says, "Look, spoke to the manager. We've got 5 games this month of August." He says, "Do you want to come over, play the month of August?" He says, "We'll fit in these 5 games. You'll get your fitness up. We'll obviously get the benefit of you playing for us." He says, "We're about third bottom of the league." He says, "We're needing to stay in the league." He says, "And when it comes to the 30th of August, the club will just release you for the contract, and then you're back to a free again, and then you can still sign for somebody outside the transfer window." So I thought, yeah, and obviously there was decent money to be had. So off I went, wee suitcase under my arm, and disappeared away to Iceland. And it was a place called Grindavik, a wee kind of fishing village. And let's say there's maybe, I might be doing a disservice to that league there, but there was 3 or 4 teams that had very, very good players, experienced players, international players in the team. The team, like I said, it was a wee kind of fishing village team that I was with. But the thing is, with these guys, they were classed as full time, but they were out working every day from 7 a.m. till 4 or 5 at night, and then they would just come straight to the club. No dinner. They would have quick something to eat. They would they all loved these plastic containers where their dinner was already in it, so they were having dinner on the move. And then that was them, for saying sake. Monday, Tuesday, off the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, game the Saturday. So they had like 2 full-time jobs, because that's just what they were used to. And that's what they done. And I'm telling them about the part-time teams in Scotland. And they're going, they only train like Tuesday and Thursday in a game. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. And the guys work obviously the rest of the week. But that's they only train twice. I'm going, yeah. So, but like I said, we played a couple of. I think we won 2, drew 3 of the games, and it was they ended up staying up. So it was good. And the best part of it was, like I said, there's myself. I'm from Glasgow. Robbie's from Glasgow. We had Jamie McConney. Jamie's from Dundee, and there were a couple of other boys over there. So there's 4 A's, 5 A's including me. Sorry, from Scotland. And I'm saying to Robbie, "How's the boys?" I know obviously English and that's quite well spoken over here. And he's going, you'll know what it is. He says, but wait till you see it, Des. He says, wait till you hear the boys. Brilliant. I'm thinking, all right. I goes in and Robbie's kind of introduced me to the boys, and just one of the boys at the back went like, all right, mate, how you doing? What a start. So Robbie and the rest of them have done these boys in. They're now fluent Glaswegians. They don't speak English anymore. They're a team full of Ouija's, as they kept saying. Yeah. Come on, the Ouija's. I was like, so they were brilliant. It was so good. We still we managed a couple of nights out in Reykjavik as well, and that just about blew the wages that I was making across there.
I know. I've been to Iceland a few times, mate. I mean, it's extortionate. We went
it's beautiful and the people are lovely, but geez,
I think it was 2 bowls of soup, but it came in like these fancy bread bowls. I got a pint of lager. Mrs. got a drink. 40 quid. I think it worked out to be. It was extortionate.
Madness! Just madness. I'm laughing because I can remember it as clear as day. There was maybe about 6 days, and I'd went to the bar. But kind of over there, they do the thing as well. They kind of look after themselves. Everybody kind of I'll buy my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was but to start with, it was me and Robbie and somebody else. It was 3 years to start with. And it was like we were doing rounds, and then the other boys came, and I'm got a head on by this point. I'm thinking the man steaming, and I'm trying. I was trying to get the shots in. I was trying to get some sort of shots, and Robbie's like, "To me, Des, no." He's like, because there's about 80s by this point. I'm like, Robbie, no, it's fine. I get a win bonus once. I'm going to spend it here. And I'm like, the guy 8 shots or whatever, and the guy's looking at me. He's going, "You buying it?" The guy behind the bar's even questioning me. "You buying 8 shots?" I was honest as the truth. I was close to what was it? Close to it was about, I think, close to 100 quid.
Around
these 8 shots. I was like that. Looking at the boy. Robbie's gone, told you. That was the card. The card was done. I was like, finished. That's the last round I'm getting in here.
But I mean, Iceland is beautiful though, isn't it? It is a lovely country, isn't it?
As I said, beautiful. People are so nice. They would stand and talk to you. No bother. And like I say, they're a very, very good night out.
I mean, expensive, but a good one. We've been a few times. Well, I got spoken to to a local, and I mean, obviously, you think straight away Iceland, it's going to be freezing cold. Their pavements and their 3G pitches, they never freeze because of the geothermal water. They run the pipes underneath the pavements and run it under the pitches. I mean, that could well be as to why they've become so successful in international football, if we're going to be a little bit serious about it, is that obviously the pitches here in Scotland are going to freeze, games will get called off. But Iceland, they've basically got football pitches at their disposal 365 days a year.
Every time we, let's say, I think we played. I had 2 home games and 3 away games. One of the games, we ended up in one of these wee planes, one of these ones that I think somebody flung us off the runway. But every time we went to an away trip, it was like there's the grass pitch with a wee stand round about it or whatever. But then everywhere seemed to have, like you've just mentioned, there are 1, 2, 3 big astroturfs, and then there was like a big barn. And inside this big barn, it was like a big all-weather astro pitch with the floodlights inside it. But there was also like the stands inside it as well. And what happened across there? Because like I said, I kept going, Jesus, this is brilliant. Every time you turn up somewhere, I says it's unbelievable. I'm saying you can't get this in some of the Premier League teams in Scotland. The standard of these facilities, and they get the guys only believe in me. I'm telling you. But what happens is they ended up having an indoor. They start an indoor league when it gets, I don't know, they're not happy at -36 or something. So then they go indoors, and they play an indoor league. So everybody's got to have it, and everybody get looked after from their FA. And it was like, right, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right, and these are all getting looked after, and everywhere's got all these facilities. And like you said, is it a coincidence that they're kicking on a wee bit better than us?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, after your short spell in Iceland, you returned back to Scotland to Greenock Morton. Was that the right move? Was that just to get you back playing in Scotland again?
Was it the right move? Probably not. As a team, I think we were a wee bit all over the place, to be honest. And I had a chance to go somewhere else, a lower league. But so I thought I want to keep myself as high up as the league as possible. So I was actually in contact with Peter McDonald, if you remember, Thistle. Used to play at St Johnstone, and he phoned me and mentioned that Alan Moore was interested. So I just went, you know what, why not? But the thing about that is I stay 3 hours away from Greenock. So I was on a camel trek every week, and my week actually consisted of me leaving Aberdeen at probably 7 a.m, travelling down to Greenock, trained on a Monday, travel back up straight after training, and then a Tuesday Aberdeen were letting me come in and train. Right. So I was going in and training with the youth team manager. I was still seeing all the boys and everything. Like I said, I was away for there, but I was still, they were like, of course, if you need a help, we're here to help you. So they've always been nice to do that way. So I went in and trained on a Tuesday, so I was still keeping my fitness up. A Wednesday off, and then I would travel back down maybe Thursday morning, go to training, and I would travel back up and stay with my mum or my brother Thursday, Friday night, and then play a game on the Saturday, and then drive back up the road 3 hours. So I've done that for a year. As you can imagine, I'm trying to check when these away games are happening because they're my home games. so I've done that for a year. It wasn't the greatest, I must admit.
I mean, after Greenock, you moved on to Queen of the South in the transfer window of 2012. During your time at Queen of the South, you were part of the squad that brought silverware to Palmerston. Was that a more accommodating move, should we say?
Yeah, but once again, I think I managed to make it further. I think it was 3.5 hours away this time. But it was actually funny. Somebody that I must have put something on Facebook. Somebody must have asked me something on Facebook, obviously a while ago, and I'd say no, I was still running around parks or something. And then one of the boys that I used to play with jumped on that. In fact, you know who it was? It was Nicky Clark. It was Sandy's son. Hey. And he's like, get a team. Like, kind of texting me behind the scenes, and he's like, you know what I say? The usual. I says it's sitting waiting. People, the usual football merry-go-round. People phone you, what you doing? All right, I'll get back to you next week, next couple of days. Waiting, people going out the door. You maybe come in the door and all the rest of it. So the usual. And Nicky had actually spoke to his dad, so it was Alan Johnson and Sandy that were the coaching staff there. So Sandy's phoned me out of nowhere and went, right, wait today is, he says, we're training in Glasgow Green. He says, you're more than welcome to come and do pre-season wheels and see how it is and see if you like it and all the rest of it. He says, if you want to. He says, and then if things go well, we'll take it from there. He says, I understand you travelled a bit last year anyway, so we'll see about it. And I went down, done a bit of pre-season with them, played a couple of games, and then spoke to them about they were saying obviously wanted to keep me, and we actually made it. They says, well, what to do is look after yourself at the start of the week. So you look after yourself Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, come down and train with us Thursday, Friday, play the game on Saturday, and obviously back up the road. So that's what I've done for 2 years. And they looked after me so much, and even like I said, I was obviously 30s by this point. I was about 32, 33 maybe at this point. And let's say there'd be times I'd be coming down the road and then right at the last minute they would name the team and I wasn't in the team and I'm going, you doing to me? And that I just wanted to play every single game and I kind of going, calm yourself. Just when we were playing in that league, it was you got to the stage where you expected to win a game every week. That's how we felt as players, and I'm kind of guessing that's how they felt as a coaching staff. So if it was playing against somebody that they thought we were maybe going to beat 3 or 4, or whatever, it was right. That's where he's getting a rest, or is it somebody else? There was a couple of older boys, so they, like I said, they looked after me, even though I was like moaning about it. They did, and like I said, we had an unbelievable year that year, and won the league and won the Ramsden's Cup. So yeah, really good and an unbelievable club. A really good club that just behind the scenes they wanted to make sure, like I said, especially with me travelling up and down the road and travelling so far, I think they kind of appreciated that I was willing to put the shift in and come down and play for that club. And like I said, it was one of the best things I've done. I enjoyed every minute of it. Even like you said, we had the second year where the manager and Alan and Sandy had moved on to Kilmarnock, and who was it came in? I can't remember who came in actually.
Was it Gary Naismith? Maybe was it Naismith?
No, it was Jim McIntyre.
Right.
Jim had come in, and I knew Jim anyway. He'd played against him a million times and whatever else, but so I was kind of injured on and off that year as well, and so when it came to the end of the season, it was like, well, I'm going back up the road. The travelling's taking its toll, and
too much.
Like I said, it wasn't a couple of young kids as well, so it was
exactly.
Mrs. is just looking at me going, right, that's plenty for you.
I mean, you still managed to squeeze out a couple other clubs. You got spells at Forfar and Fort Martin as well before calling a day on your playing career. Was that a case of just...
What actually happened was I'd spoke to somebody that was going to speak to a couple of the teams closer up here, but what actually happened was I don't know if it was it was the chairman at Forfar had been speaking to the chairman Community of the South, and he'd said to him, he says, "Oh, how's Derek getting on?" Because the chairman at Forfar, big Aberdeen fan, and he said, "Oh, he didn't realise." He says, "Oh, Derek's way back up the road now too. Oh, great 2 years and blah blah blah, brilliant." Blah, blah. And so he'd got hold of Dick and says to Dick about getting me up, and that's how it came about. I didn't even have to make contact with them. It came. So Dick was on the phone, and I don't know if you've been lucky enough to interview Dick before.
Not yet.
Well, if it's get it on your bucket list, honestly, and you'll need to do it over 2 nights because you'll be here forever. Once you're on the phone to him, you're going, "Oh my God, I'm coming." Just so he was trying to twist my arm to come. And said it was once again. It was the couple of other teams were phoning for down the road as well, and I'm going, "Look, I'm not travelling too much anymore." So long story short, I signed a 2-year deal with Forfar, and Tuesday night, Thursday night, 40 minutes down the road, but it's straight onto a dual carriageway, straight down, off, back in, back up the road, and then you'd obviously game in the Saturday. So it worked well. We should have got promoted. We should have won the promotion the first year I was down. We made a backside of being top of the league. I think we had been top of the league for about 90% of the season, and then we had injuries and whatever else, and we ended up about second or third. Right. But we ended up in the playoffs, and we get beat with Alloa. But it was a good year without actually doing it, and then the second year we get relegated, which wasn't ideal. No. So,
I mean, my next question, you can't say your brother is the answer, but who's your best mate in football?
Best mate in football.
You're worried about offending folk now, aren't you?
Aye. Best mate in football.
We'll say best teammate then, so you can
I've got a few, because I like the boys that I grew up with from the youth team. I'm still really close to. Darren Mackey being one of them at Aberdeen. he'd obviously been a young boy when I was there, and it started, and I left and came back, and Darren was still there. It was the same with Chris Clark as well, and Michael Hart. It was three guys. I'm trying to think who else I'm going to put up there. Still speak to big Jamie Langfield. So there's a few. There's a good few. But you know what life's like now. It's, you don't see everybody that much. Everything's WhatsApp groups and whatever else. It was funny because, like I said, when Eb Scovdale passed away, boys were obviously gutted, but within minutes, and I mean literally minutes, there was a WhatsApp group made up with the boys who would all play together. And like I mentioned about that table that was covered in Ebby Scovdale quotes.
You just relive those moments.
Everybody was bringing back their quote, and it was just amazing. I mean, this went on for a couple of days, and it was things you had forgot. So it started the stories. So, but like I said, that's how it is now, innit? You don't see everybody that much, but you feel as if you're still keeping close contact with everybody, but you might not be seeing them as much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All good. I mean, in this current day, you're part of the academy set up at Aberdeen. How's that working out for you?
I love it. It's been really good. It's what I was, like I said, everybody kept asking what I was going to do after football because Dan had went into management, and that's something that he had always wanted to do. But I was always wanted to help coach the kids for some reason. Just what I kind of fancied doing. My ideal job I'd like to be in full time, maybe with the 18s and the kind of reserves, and I have been kind of around about that, helping at different stages. Scotty Anderson, who is kind of, let's say, I'm with under 16s. Scotty Anderson takes the 18s with Barry Robson, but Scotty also is the manager of my team. I'm his assistant. So there's a lot of times I've been in helping with the 18s as well, and it's been really good. And it's the kids that are there just now are in full time are kids that's kind of came through my teams as well in the past 4 years. So you know all the boys that's in there. So when you do actually go up and help whatever else, it's everybody that you know. It's not nothing awkward. So it's been good. I'd like to do that, but we'll see what happens. But at the moment in time, I'm doing what I want to do, and I've had offers to go and manage other teams up here. Chairman have texted me and whatever else. A couple of high in the league chairman as well here and there.
Is that on your to-do list maybe later on in your career?
Managing, probably. It probably is, because I think you get the bug. You get the bug of wanting to win, and even let's say even the thing that's hard is, and I've said that the Fraser Fiveys now. If you remember Fraser, Fraser's he's still playing with Cove. I think Fraser's 28, 29. But Fraser's in helping with their under 14s team at the moment, and I'm saying the same thing to him. The other day we were on the bus yesterday going up and down to my 16s, and his 14s were playing down at Edinburgh yesterday against Hibs. So we were on the bus together for the 3 hours, so we were reminiscing with the other coaches and all the rest of it and going on. But we're saying that it's when you come out of playing football, you kind of forget that you're trying to coach these kids instead of, right, this is your team, we're going to go and win. You need to now build these kids up, and sometimes you're going, how do these kids not know? But then you're going, right, hold on, that's my job to try and get this out of them. But even then, sometimes the coaching, and you've had the individual coaching stuff, and you're speaking to them and all the rest of it. And sometimes, and I'm saying to Scott, it was, how many times do you need to go doing the same thing, and like weeks and weeks? And he's going, Des, sometimes kids they just don't get it. And he's kind of looking at me, and I'm going, he says, no, everybody's going to make it. No, everybody's going to take everything on board. You're saying the right things. You're doing the right things. You've individual stuff and all the rest of it. He says, that's what you need to kind of remember. He says, no, the full team's not going to make it to the first team. And you kind of then go, you know what, you're 100% right. It's the kids that pick it up, and the kids that listen, and the kids that then take it from the training ground onto the pitch and then take it through there. That's obviously the ones that are. But like I said, you obviously don't give up on these kids. But like I said, it's the expectation. You're going, right, keep at him. I'll need to keep at him. I'll keep at this one. But unfortunately, like I said, it's just the same through every academy system.
Yeah,
kids get through.
Are you based at the new Cormac training ground then?
We are. It is at the moment. We've got the full run at the pitches, but we don't have the full run of the buildings. We're not allowed in the buildings. The kids need to come changed straight onto the pitch, and then as soon as they're finished, they're in the car and they're off up the road. Obviously with the COVID rules and whatnot, but a great big facility. It's just it makes some difference. But the thing, I was doing an interview for the Aberdeen Red TV thing a while ago, just not that long after it opened up, and they were going on about it, and I'm saying, but it's good we've got all these facilities and we're not building goals and we're not scooting up dogs, you know what, lying everywhere. But I said I still need kids coming in that love football. I need kids coming, they're just turning up and going, oh, it doesn't matter that this big facility. If kids, like I said, half the kids nowadays just want to stare at a TV screen and wiggle their thumbs. You try to get kids that are coming through the door that want to come and play for Aberdeen, or want to just, all they want to do is come and play football. That's the kind of kids you're needing.
Absolutely.
So having all this facilities, you could put that to the side. And what I says to them was, Aberdeen still got one of the best, or if not the best, turnaround of kids coming through the academy, even before you had the training facility. So the academy's been doing something right for a good few years. We've always got kids in the Scotland set up. We've always got kids around about the first team. There's always kids getting pushed through. Like every other year, there's a couple of kids getting signed up in English teams. I think the last one was Big Archie, the goalie. He went down to, disappeared down to Norwich. So we've got English teams, scouts, obviously, all over the place, keeping an eye on our boys, because they're setting good standards, and it will be good. Like I said, Stevie coming in and Alan coming in, because they're obviously pushing for a lot more of the youth to come up, and hopefully they'll get a chance, because there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of players in there that maybe just need an extra eye over them, if you know what I mean. Somebody new coming in, and it'll maybe spark a few of them into life that maybe thought they weren't going to get a chance under Derek McInnes. It's maybe a chance for them now to go and show Stevie and Alan over and Scott Brown. Let's not forget Bruni. Over pre-season, and they, like I said, they maybe thought they never had a chance. Now they've got a chance to go and do whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean, obviously one sort of academy story, if you like, that's dominated the news in recent weeks is the inclusion of the Rangers and Celtic Colts team that are going to be joining the Scottish Lowland League to obviously try and promote like the younger, the academy player that's maybe not getting that 90 minutes every week. Do you think that's a good thing, or do you have any thoughts on that sort of scenario?
I can see where they're coming from, and they're basically wanting them playing men's football every week against because with the academy you're maybe stuck playing against you've maybe been playing against the same kids all the way through, and then you come to the academy into the 23s and it's maybe the same teams and the same faces, and half the time the teams are the same. There's maybe boys shipped out and loan here and there, so then your academy team is maybe just a mix of boys that aren't really getting in the first team. Sorry, your 23 team, if you'd say your Colts team, which isn't it. But so it was maybe a mixture of boys that aren't getting a game in the first team, and 18s boys kind of pushed up. So that team's kind of changing all the time, and it's not like a set team. So I think they're trying to set it like that. I think Aberdeen would like to do something similar, and I can see the benefits of it. What they've done with us, jumping to the side of this, was when I moved up when I was 16, same with everybody else at the time, we would play with the youth team during the week. So you had your game, maybe your under 18s league during the week. So that was like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And on a Saturday afternoon, we played with one of the junior sides up here.
Right.
So I signed for a team called Lewis United for 6 months, right up till Christmas. So you would have 2 games a week, but that second game, you were playing against big bruisers and just getting the lumps battered out every other week.
Do you feel that brought you on as a player?
I do. I must admit. I'm like I said, I'm 5'9". I'm hardly a big monster, but it makes you look after the ball. It makes you take your touch quicker. It makes you get your runs right. And that might sound daft, but it does, and you kind of get that forced at you as this is how it is when you move up. This is what it's like in the reserves as well, because you're playing against men. Back in the day, that's how it was. It's maybe not as, but like I said, you could go and play in the reserve team, and you could have. I can remember we played Kilmarnock one year, and it was Ali McCoy, Steen Durant, and there was like 2 or 3 other boys coming back for injury. They had come up to Aberdeen. It was our home game, so you're seeing these names on the team sheet, and you're going, geez. And then the following week, you might be away down to Celtic and playing against them, and it's there. Then it's maybe a couple of boys that's been out injured, and it's as a young boy, you're like, oh, it's brilliant, getting to play against these guys. So there's a bit of that missing, and like I said, it's maybe a good thing.
No, definitely be interested to see.
I certainly don't see anything. I don't see anything wrong with it, I must admit.
I think my only worry is are you going to get? I mean, that is still a very good level of football, the Scottish Lowland League. But are you going to get somebody that's maybe going to try and leave something on somebody that could maybe result?
But I think that is that maybe the starting block. Do you know what I mean? Right, yeah. We'll get ourselves in here just now, and then we'll, as time goes by, do we get the SFA to push us up the way? I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see.
But I can see. I mean, I can see why the other teams are going, no, you're not coming in our league. We're in this league. Just you stay down there out the road.
It'll be interesting to see how it develops, that's for sure, Derek. Final question for you, mate, and I will say that we're looking forward to obviously catching up with your brother in the next couple of weeks as well on the show, so I look forward to that. You mentioned the best game you ever played in was in Europe. If you could go back and relive 90 minutes of a domestic game throughout your career without being in Europe, what game would you choose and why?
Jeez.
Put you on the spot.
There's relive it. We played. There was. I don't so much relive it. I'm trying to think. God, year and a half. There was one. I'll highlight a game. Maybe so not much relive it. I had a mate of mine, one of my good mates for school, Scott Stibbs, had come up with his girlfriend to stay one weekend, and he woke up in the morning. We were playing Dundee United that Saturday, and he woke up in the morning and he says, "Don't know what it was, Des." He says, "I've had a dream there. You scored 2 the day, 2 lefties." And we're having a laugh about it. He says, "I don't know." He says, "I never have dreams about that." He says, "I don't know what it is you've done to me." And sure enough, we beat Dundee United 2-1. I bang in 2 lefties.
I hope he put a bell on, did he put
it was I could see him. I've got a great picture of it because I'm just standing in front of him, pointing like he's in the main the Dick Donald stand, and I'm like lifting my leg up, pointing at my left leg. And you can see him in the stand just going absolute nuts. And it's one that's always stuck out in my head that these things don't happen like that. You know what I mean? It was just a bit too spooky.
Wow.
And what he actually reminded me that not that long ago, he says, "Des, I've came to 5 games," and he says, "You something like 5 games. I might be wrong." He says, "If every game I came to see you," he says, "you scored." And I was like, "How did you wait till I stopped playing before you fed me this information?" He's like, "You could have been a season ticket holder at Pittodrie. Could have got you in, no bother." So yeah, he toured about and seen a few games, and I managed a few goals. So I would go with that.
Perfect.
That was stuck in my head.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Derek Young.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
Enjoyed that. That's great.
Here we go.